and welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for today or tomorrow or Wednesday, but definitely we're not going to sing 2019 because we're just not going to do that because we can't keep singing 2019 because otherwise you'll go, and we don't want that to happen. However, rather than us talking about listening to me talk rubbish, maybe we want to have a chat about maybe something that you can look at instead. Now, if you're maybe interested in board games, which I'm assuming because you're listening to the podcast in the first place, you'll be interested in board games themselves, which means you'll be interested in designers, which means you'll maybe be interested in learning more about designers. So joining me is a gentleman by the name of Eric Rayl from Zoom Out Media. And Eric Rayl, he's the mastermind behind the Game Designers movie. So he's come along to spend a couple of minutes just letting us know a little bit more about that. So hello, Eric.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. Thank you for kind of coming on. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. There's a storm rolling into town pretty soon, so I'm kind of looking out my window and it's getting grayer and grayer.
Oh dear. Does that mean it's like your legs swelled up or something? Well, storms are coming.
Something like that.
It's not like that. Yeah, that's it. Let's just roll in with the stereotypical American type thing.
Yeah.
kind of going on. The Kickstarter for the project is going to be, it's got a couple of weeks away. You're going to be rolling it out on the 5th of February. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. On the 5th.
So what's mood like in camp just now? Excited? You nervous? All of the above?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. Not really too nervous because it's been like a lot of planning and just getting ready for everything.
Uh-huh.
Just want to make sure that we're kind of reaching as many people. So that's probably the only part that I have anxiety about is making sure that everybody knows about it. But of course, that's like common with everybody.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's the noise word. You know, everybody worries about 4-letter words, but it's usually it's that big 5-letter word you should be kind of worrying about.
Yeah.
For people who haven't listened to the show before, thank you for coming along. The reason that we do this is because it's like Star Trek. It's like our 5-year ongoing mission to seek out, new forms of board game life and board game civilizations, and to boldly go where no kind of whatever,
Yeah, no.
It's
Well, you sold me now on this whole podcast because you mentioned Star Trek. I'm all in right now.
Nanu, Captain. And the second reason that we do this is because we get to speak to people like Eric who are doing they're doing something different. I mean, Eric's not coming on to talk about his board game. He's coming on to talk about his documentary. So I thought it was a good idea to have a chat and we can find out a little bit more about himself and we can find out a little bit more about the Game Designers movie. But before we find out a little bit about the movie, we want to do what they do in a lot of movies, which is to have a flashback scene to Eric's past, because we want to find out a little bit more about how he got. Now, so obviously in this thing, you're standing on your porch, you're staring out ahead of you, and this is when you're going kind of staring back to how you first got into board games. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your history?
Yeah, sure. So my first foray into these kind of games was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. I went to a friend's party, and it was like at his house, and he had some friends over and everything. And next thing I know, he kind of whips out this game that I've never really seen before called Dominion. I was like, oh, that looks neat. So I was the only one that didn't know how to play it, but they taught it to me, and then I started playing it, and then I kind of, fell in love with that, obviously. That was my gateway game. And then from there, it just kind of took off, really. I joined a game group in my local town and went there every week and played all sorts of different Euro type games. And then I think eventually, like 3 weeks later, I went back to my buddy's house, and he had another like game night and some friends over, and they did a Dominion tournament, and I actually ended up winning it. So,
did you go away and looked up tactics and stuff like that?
Yeah, no,
watching YouTube videos.
No, I wasn't that. I think I just got lucky that night or something. I don't know what it was, but I think I just kind of put those guys to shame somehow in some horrible way.
Was there a training montage, Eric? Was there like a Rocky one of kind of like you putting down cards and kind of like not getting a good deck and then going, oh no, and then there was one of you putting down more cards and then starting to get a good deck, and then at the end you kind of ran up the steps with your cards in your hand and then kind of jumped about as you got a really, really super kind of deck.
Yeah, I wish I could like say that and like say that the final countdown song was playing in the background. But no, it wasn't that glamorous.
Did you have a headband on for the sweat? Because, I mean, take it towards the end when you knew you were winning. There was a bit.
There's some truth to that, actually, because, game tournament can become a little nerve-wracking towards the end.
Yeah. It's like, something is like that. What do you want to do? Mop my brow.
Yeah.
It's like, for goodness sake, somebody give me a hand towel.
Yeah.
These cards are flying everywhere.
Yeah. My hands get sweaty and everything, yes.
Oh, dear.
It's like I have something to prove to this group I never even knew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're coming in like the lone gunman. What's his name? He's a man with no name. His name's Eric. Oh, okay. Is he your friend? Yeah. Tell me don't want him back if he's going to be winning these Dominion tournaments. Did that start you on the road then to go, well, if it's that easy to take down these suckers and hustle them for $140 to walk out the door with it, is there other board games I can take these people for? Did that start you on your quest?
Well, there's no money involved, but yeah, man, that would be a great way to do it.
Play like Paul Newman.
Play fun games and make money on the side.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But seriously, did that start you kind of down the line of you kind of becoming a bit of a collector, and did you go to the group more regularly and kind of build up a collection and build kind of more and more games? Yeah?
Well, I actually never got into building my own collection very much. I have a weird thing about collections. I have this mindset where I feel like if I can't have the most complete, the most excellent collection, then I don't want a collection at all.
Wow.
Yeah. So like at one point I was building like this movie collection like a few years ago. And then I realized I could never have like the perfect movie collection. So I just like got rid of all my movies because I was really upset because it wasn't like the perfect collection. So that
I'm going to advise maybe, don't get a board game habit kind of thing. I think that would not be a good day for you.
I think I'd just buy a warehouse or something and just like buy every game that I could possibly find. Something horrible.
You feel like that. I've got 3 copies of Glory to Rome. And, I've got this Dungeons and Dragons first edition that's still got the sticker on the back.
Yeah.
It's got the price tag on it kind of thing. But, so do you still, I take it for the kind of the group then, do you rely on them for kind of like playing the games and things? Yeah.
Yeah. That group that I went to was, really fun because they all had really nice collections. So I just played their games and they'd teach games every week, every Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And I played a whole bunch of different games there for about 2 years. Then I decided I wanted to make my own board game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You want me to continue on this path?
Yeah, cool. Well, it's your night. So yeah, let's continue. As I say, I'm just fascinated. I'm very, I'd like to say I'm kind of intuitive and I'm empathetic and I like to hear people's sides of the story, but I'm just really nosy. So.
Well, you sound just like me, man.
Just want to hear what's kind of like, what's going on.
Yeah.
What was the game and what happened with that?
Yeah. So like a lot of people who play board games, I was another person who thought that it'd be a good idea to design one. And so I set out on that quest to design my very own board game. And I kind of lifted a couple ideas from some of the other games that I was playing with that group, Concordia and Terra Mystica at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a couple elements, mechanics that are similar to those games that were in the game I was designing. But funny enough, actually the game was kind of modeled after Star Trek, kind of the feel of it. It's kind of common in board games right now how there'll be like similar characters to popular IPs or entertainment. Yeah. But they're just like a hair different. So I guess that's kind of like the theme that I want to play with like that for my game. And it was like a mid to heavy Euro game where you're one of these colonies on this remote planet. It's pretty similar to like the Federation. And the goal was to build up your industry and your manufacturing and stuff like that to head off into space and start mining nearby moons and stuff for ore and whatnot. So that's kind of what it was about.
How far did you get with it?
I designed it for probably about 6 or 7 months, and I did probably about half a dozen play tests with that group and then another design group in my town. And I worked on it like really hard, like really focused on it. And then I took it to maybe like the 5th or 6th play test. And one of the guys who's pretty good with games found this element, this mechanic that was kind of broken with it. And he just exploited it and made like all these victory points. And I was like, all right, well, I got to tweak that. So I took it back home. And then it kind of like squirreled away in my living room night and day. I tried to make this game, fix it, retweak it, rebalance it. And I thought I had it just perfect, that it was impenetrable. It could never be broken again. And you can probably see where this is going. But I took it back to the same group like 2 months later. And the same guy played the same faction and did the same thing, but just like in a different way. He just went down a different path and then made all the victory points a different way. I was like, man, this is insane. I cannot balance this thing. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
Did you have to put it to bed?
I put it to bed. Yeah, I put it to sleep even.
Does it still exist? I mean, have you still got that kind of sitting on the shelf? If you turn around, can you look at it now and give it kind of like evil type eyes and say, why can't you balance?
Yeah, well, I put it under my couch because I didn't want to look at the thing anymore.
You can sit with a dog here.
I probably would have burned it, but like I spent good money like for the little bits and meeples and stuff. And they're all like really nice looking, like little pieces of ore and like different tokens and stuff. So I didn't want to get rid of them.
What are you going to do? You're going to go back to it?
Probably not. I don't think game design is for me. But through that event, I determined that I wanted to tell this story that I went through. And that's kind of what led to the initial idea for the game designers project.
What do you do during the day? I mean, is this what you do? Are you involved in kind of media? Is that what you do as a kind of like a job then?
No, it's not my day job, but I do other media type stuff just for fun. I have my buddy out. He has like a popular YouTube channel. Actually, I actually have like 3 buddies who are pretty heavily into YouTube. So I help them out every now and again. And do that kind of stuff. So I'm always hanging around with people who are creating content and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, some of those YouTube channels are just ridiculous. Like the guys who go and climb cranes on construction sites and they're like hanging up there and it's like wind blowing and all this stuff. And it's like, dude.
Just like, no.
But yeah, so these guys, let me think, like one of them does like a lot of cosplay videography.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So he has like a channel that has a lot of subscribers, and he does that, kind of travels around doing that. Then another buddy of mine, I guess they're all kind of tied to the cosplay world. Like another buddy does conventions where he just goes around and kind of like interviews people and talks to people. And then I have another buddy who does like pranks at conventions and stuff. So I kind of met them all through the convention circuit.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Do you cosplay yourself then?
I don't, no. I did a short documentary on a few like cosplay related things, but I had one idea to do a cosplay. I thought it'd be pretty awesome. Have you ever seen Wild Wild Country?
The name rings a bell, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was a documentary that was on Netflix. It's a series, and it's about this cult in Oregon who dressed in all red clothes. And
yeah.
Anyway, so like there's this big not battle, but a lot of animosity between this cult that moved into like a small town in Oregon and then the people who were living in that town. Mm-hmm. And they made a documentary about that. Anyways, long story short, like there were people in this cult who had these video cameras. This all happened like in the 1980s. And they had like these big VHS cameras, and they'd like record everything that was happening at their cult. And so I thought it'd be fun to like dress up in all red and like have a big VHS camera and like make a cosplay video that way. But I never did it. I should do it.
You should just you have to do these things to get the reception.
Yeah.
There's no point in having, I always like to say, oh yeah, there's no such thing as a bad idea. There is bad ideas, but you never know if they're good or bad ideas unless you try them.
Yeah.
There was at some point somebody who went, this loaf of bread, it's a pain in the butt. I wonder if I can take a knife and make this sliced all the time. That was an idea. Other ideas have probably not been as good, but it's kind of worthwhile kind of trying these things. So, have you not thought about jumping in front of the camera then? Are you more the technical kind of guy that's good at organising and doing the filming?
Yeah.
As opposed to getting in front of the camera and going, hey. Yeah,
definitely. I'm more of a behind the camera kind of guy. I don't like being on camera. I'm actually really, really clunky. I don't know. I'm not like a performer kind of guy. So like whenever I get up in front of an audience or like a camera or something, I just can't perform. I'm terrible. But behind the camera, I think I'm all right. I don't know. We'll see.
No, that's not the attitude, is to say, for somebody launching a Kickstarter event. Okay, what should I say? It could be good.
Yeah.
It could be. Welcome to my video. But, I mean, with you doing that, where did you get the idea to kind of go and say, well, I've taken these people for their money, playing Dominion with them. It'd be a really, really good idea to maybe documentary rise other things in the kind of the board game hobby. I know it's not a word, Eric. I don't care. I'm just going to power through it.
As long as you don't call me a documentarian, I'm fine.
Isn't that somebody that eats fish? But anyway, what kind of like made you sit down and go, I could make a film about game designers?
Yeah, so it was that process that I went through trying to make that game. That was really the big thing that made me want to create the documentary. Mm-hmm. Because, like I was saying before, I was scrolled away in my living room working on this thing night and day, and nobody really knew like all the hard work and time and dedication that I was putting into it. And I was like, well, this is like a really interesting story. I'm just like working so hard on this thing, but nobody knows like all the blood, sweat, and tears that goes behind it. And so I wanted to tell that story because I knew there's a lot of other designers out there who are doing the same thing. There's just like so many board games out right now, and then to match that, there's just so many board game designers, and I felt like there's a story to share there.
I think, in all fairness, out of like every 5 games that get to Kickstarter, there's probably another 45 that don't even get close to it. There's probably a couple of hundred on top of that, which are kind of like they get kind of halfway and they don't get any further.
Right.
And I think it's kind of like the unseen kind of work that kind of goes behind it. Like, you're right. I mean, if you spend time doing like what you start off as a hobby, and then you're looking to create something that can kind of become kind of like a bit more into kind of like an obsession, not to that level of seriousness, but you can end up kind of saying, well, I've got to work on this, I want to balance this. You end up ending up spending all your time. And I think when you get to the point where it doesn't work out, it's like, well, what have you kind of got?
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if that story always gets told. That some people that I speak to, I mean, when I was speaking to was it James, who was doing Valor and Villainy, he's been working on his game for like 2.5, 3 years. I mean, I know people that have worked on their games for 4 or 5 years, and I think that if
isn't that crazy?
People knew about it,
people working years on a project, and then maybe like that's not even known outside of like a few friends and family members.
I know. And is that why you thought it was important to kind of like start to kind of tell that kind of journey? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I thought it was important. I thought like it was probably going to be more interesting than anything else. Because I think like for me, it's more about like the entertainment aspect. Like I make stuff just to kind of like entertain people. I'm never going to be like a documentary filmmaker that goes to Rwanda or something and talks about some horrible thing going on. I make documentaries because like I want to make them for entertainment. I was really heavily inspired by this documentary that came out a few years ago called King of Kong. Have you seen that?
Is that the one about the guy that played the arcade game?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, it's a documentary about the people who are trying to get the top score in Donkey Kong. And it's just such a fun documentary to watch. I was like, the first time I saw it, it kind of blew me away because I was like, you can't just pick up a camera and make a documentary like this. Like, is that even possible? Who does that? I've never seen anything like it before. I just thought it was so fun, like how this random guy just grabbed a camera one day and went out and started making this ridiculous story about these guys who were in this ridiculous competition to get the top score. It's just so funny to me. So after I saw that thing, I was kind of like hooked on the idea of making my own kind of King of Kong documentary. Or King of Kong inspired documentary. Now this one, I wouldn't say it's like exactly like that. It probably has a few different influences. But in the end, I think that entertainment aspect is always going to be there.
I mean, when you're doing this, I mean, do you just film and keep on filming and filming until somebody until somebody stops?
That's what I did at first.
Do you have to go into kind of like with a set agenda? Do you have to be kind of aware of what shots you're trying to get? Is there a lot of planning? I mean, you're aware of the amount of planning that I do. You got I send you an email to say, right, this is how it's going to work. And then it's like, and you say, well, is there any other notes? It's like, nah. We'll just make it up as we go along because that's the best way to do things.
Right.
But if you're like, say, when you're like speaking to the various designers, was it a kind of a gonzo approach? Did you just approach them there and then and say, listen, do you have time to ask a couple of questions? Or did you have to kind of reach out to them beforehand to kind of check they were even wanting to speak to you before you turned up?
That's a really good question. Like when I first started, I had never made a feature-length project before, just done like YouTube videos and stuff. So at first, I probably took too much inspiration from The King of Kong and Seth Gordon, the director. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to grab my camera like Seth did and just film everything and see what happens. And so what I did is I started with my game design group where I used to live. I'm not in the same town anymore, but I just went there.
He's coming around with that camera again. Yeah. Eric.
Well, it got to that point.
Get your butt out of this town. You don't come back. Take your VHS and your red outfit with you as well.
Well, it is the Wild West, man. This is America, so that's how it happens.
It's either that or get lynched.
Yeah.
Oh my word, that could have been terrible. No documentary. Oh. And this here lies Eric Rayl, who filmed us just a little bit too much.
Yeah. So I probably did filming them too much because I had like way too much footage. And so anyways, where am I going with this? Yeah. So at the beginning, I was just filming everything, like that gonzo approach you're talking about. Yeah. But I think over time I realized that it's actually smarter to have a like a production, kind of like doing a production manager's job, figuring out exactly like what shots I want and what story I want to tell and all that stuff. But I only learned that through going through the process. And I think after this project, when I do it again, I'm going to do another documentary. But my next project, I'm going to be more focused for sure.
In terms of asking people, did you find the community quite open?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So when I started off, I started with that group and just started filming them, and they're pretty open about it. No problems there. But then after a while, I decided I want to expand the scope and kind of tell the wider story of all the game designers out there. So I started reaching out to like all the most well-known game designers via BoardGameGeek. And I just started sending out messages on BoardGameGeek, and I got like a really healthy response. Like out of all the people that I messaged, I'd probably say about 80 or 85% responded back and said that they were interested to meet and do an interview. So I felt like that was a pretty amazing response from the community. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And from that 85%, I mean, how many kind of ended up kind of committing further?
Yeah. So there's 5 main people in the film. And so most of the people I just did like a single interview with. They're going to be kind of like the expert opinion, the talking heads, if you will. And then the other 5 are the 5 main stories that I'm following in the film. And so those were the people who went forward with it more. But most people, like I said, were perfectly willing to do that first interview, which is really great. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you approach them with like kind of set questions? Did you have to go into like in a kind of an interview ahead, or did you say, right, okay, here's the questions we're going to ask? Mm-hmm. Did you end up doing multiple takes as well? Because one of the things I noticed just recording kind of audio is that I would rather take kind of, a bad take on audio and edit bits out than maybe start over again. I think I've had to do like 2 shows again from scratch due to audio issues.
Oh wow.
And it's never quite the same. It's never ever quite the same as you're kind of when you're approaching it in a kind of like a fresh attack. So how did you approach it? Did you do multiple takes, or did you try and capture everything within the first kind of couple of takes?
Yeah. I'd probably say that I did like more directing with the 5 main people. So that would mean that if I saw something that like my main character did, one of the designers did that looked interesting, but I didn't catch it on camera, I'd be like, oh, can you do that again? Like whatever it was, whatever situation. or then I'd, maybe direct them, just walk out this door here and walk down the hall a little bit, or look at these games here, or, basic stuff like that. I think like a lot of people, like when they think of documentaries, they think of like this weird thing of it being like absolute truth or something. And it's not. Like it's all just like movie making and filmmaking, and and maybe some documentaries are more like quote unquote truthful than others, but I think there's always an element of you're crafting a story and curating it for the audience.
Well, it's really fun, and things like Foley work and stuff like that,
Yeah.
It's like somebody's like rolling a dice, or, putting together some coins, or opening a box and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if you're filming just normally, unless you've got like a microphone right next to the object that's being manipulated, you ain't going to hear it. You're going to hear the person kind of talking about it. So, did you go to kind of extremes with that, like kind of having kind of little kind of reshoots to make sure you were capturing certain sounds and stuff, or was that not?
No, I'm actually kind of weak in the sound area. Most of my skills, if you will, are like more visual based. But I tried to do the sound as best as I could, like with lav mics and all that stuff. But as far as like capturing like really high quality audio, like dice dropping and stuff like that, no, I didn't get any of that.
That's going to be for the follow-up.
Yeah, I guess. No, I'm done filming. It'll be for the next film. Is that what you mean? Yeah, the follow-up, yeah.
Yeah, the Empire Strikes Back one, it could be the darker one.
Yeah.
One of the things that you got Scott from BoardGameGeek involved, yeah. Mm-hmm. How did that kind of come about?
So I was walking around Origins in 2017, which is a board game convention in Columbus, Ohio. And I was walking around the show floor, and I like to talk to people at the convention, just walk around and, go to all the booths and see what everybody's doing. So I walked over to a BoardGameGeek booth and was starting to talk to some of the guys there, Eric Martin and stuff. And then I met Scott, and he noticed I was holding a camera. He's like, "What are you doing?" Not like that. But
it's like, we've had reports of you going around in your red outfit with your VHS recording thing.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, are you okay?
Why are you handing out pamphlets to everybody about your weird...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why are you telling people you're going to be doing a documentary? We've had people like that before.
Yeah. So
on your way, or I'll set the dogs on you. But yeah, obviously you started off a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, so he was interested kind of right off the bat with that first conversation. And that was great because I wouldn't say I was rudderless or anything, but it really helped to have somebody who could bounce ideas off with and kind of help make the connections in the industry and also help promote the film. So I started working with him after I met him there.
And did that help you kind of connect up with all the other designers as well? Because I'm looking down the kind of the designers that you've got kind of mentioned in here, and I know a lot of faces. Mm-hmm. I know, obviously, I recognise more games than faces because it's not like I go scouring the internet for pictures of the faces of the game designers that I know the games on. I'm not that guy. But, Jamie Stegmaier does take a good photo, doesn't he? I'm just saying.
Yeah, he does.
I'm just putting that on record. But, did that make it easier for you to reach out to these people and kind of like get them kind of directly involved in the documentary itself?
Yeah. So again, like I had a really healthy response at first, and I got like a lot of big name designers right off the bat. But in addition to those guys, there were people in the industry that I wasn't aware of how like influential they were. and I would have never known about them, I guess, or unless I'd done like a lot of research. So he kind of like introduced me to the people who are kind of maybe, just as influential or maybe more, but we're not as like public facing, like as well known to the public audience.
So, I mean, how does a documentary run? You say you've got like the main people that you're following around, and then are you just kind of like got sound bites and quick interviews with kind of like some of the other names like Eric Lang? Is he appearing in a short part of it? Is he just doing a quick kind of talking head bit, or does he appear in quite a bit of it? Yeah,
Eric Lang I actually wanted to have as one of the 5 main people that I followed in the film, and he was on board with it. We wanted to do it, but he moved to the other side of the world. He was living in Toronto, like when I first asked him, which is not too far from where I'm at. I guess I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so it was maybe like a 3-hour plane ride or something.
Yeah.
But he moved to Singapore, so that kind of threw a dent into that plan. But anyways, so yeah, Eric is one of the guys who is like at all the conventions, like no matter which one you go to. So I went to a number of conventions for this project, and I saw him a number of times, and I think we ended up doing like 2 or 3 different interviews, like at different conventions. But most of the guys, most of the guys, it was just like one interview, like as I met him at each convention.
How long has it taken to put kind of everything together?
Oh my God, like an eternity, forever. It's been a ridiculous amount of time trying to put this thing together. Because I'm doing like everything. I'm producing it and writing it, directing it, editing it, doing the sound, finding the music, getting rights, doing releases, getting money for the project, kickstarting it, marketing it, promoting it, and probably something else as well. So, it's been a lot of work.
I guess one of the questions that people will be asking is that if you filmed everything, and if it's going to be taken, if this is just a time thing, then, why are you going a Kickstarter? Why do you want, how dare you ask for money to create something, Eric? But no, I mean, joking aside, I mean, is there still more that you need to do? Is that why you're kind of looking at Kickstarter as a way to
I see what you're saying.
Help?
Yeah. So we're about done with the film, like the rough cut, but there's like more to do. We need to buy like music rights and do color correction and color grading, and add those sound effects like the dice dropping and all that fun stuff. And then we got to purchase the DVDs and the Blu-rays, and then put the collector's edition together and the digital download and all that fun stuff. So that's kind of like all the wrap-up stuff is what the funds will hopefully be used for. No, they will be used for. Hopefully we get them, is what I'm saying.
Does that mean this is going to be a physical product? So when people go on the Kickstarter, they're not just like buying the ability to digitally download the film. It sounds like you're going to be physically producing the DVD and the kind of the Blu-ray.
Yeah, well, we're going to have both. We're going to have the digital download, and we're going to have the DVD, Blu-ray, and collector's edition. So it's pretty much whatever you take interest in.
What's going to be in the collector's edition?
Yeah, so you might have gathered that I shot like a lot of stuff for this project. So we're going to put like a lot of that fun content into the collector's edition. We're going to have like all the extended interviews for all these people that we've interviewed, and we're going to do like extras, deleted scenes. We're going to have some featurettes as stretch goals. So for like, for like each stretch goal we hit, we're going to have like a 20-minute featurette for each one.
Wow. So
that's all going to go on there too. Yeah. So it's a lot of content, actually. It might be like, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 hours worth of content for the collector's edition.
And how long does the documentary run to?
Probably be about an hour and a half when it's all done.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So they get the hour and a half, and then there's a potential that if they hit all the stretch goals, it's going to be another 5 hours of content on top of that as well.
Yeah, maybe another 3 or something, 3 or 4, something like that, yeah.
What's the kind of be the price of entry? I mean, how much is it going to be to kind of pledge? Have you sorted out have you finalised the kind of the pledge levels for the different packages yet?
I think so. I actually have a call. I'm going to be calling Scott here right after this conversation, but yeah, I think what we're going to do for the digital download is right around 20. I probably wouldn't say go by these numbers if if this comes out before the Kickstarter. Just take this with a grain of salt. But so for the digital download, 20, and then for the DVD/Blu-ray, we're going to do 45, and then the collector's edition will be 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's your funding goal? Have you decided on your funding goal, or is that to be kind of decided?
We're looking at 30,000 right now.
That's not bad. That's kind of totally what I was kind of expecting. Mm-hmm. I would have kind of wondered if it'd been a kind of an awful lot lower, because I know from the guys that I know that do YouTube videos, like just getting the equipment together and making sure you've got, all the right stuff can cost a fair whack of money.
Yeah.
And if you're wanting to put something professionally together, then it's a big chunk of change.
Yeah.
And then obviously the other thing you got to think about is if you're producing physical copies of the film as well, then that doesn't happen by magic.
Yeah.
There's going to be all the production copies, which I'm sure is going to take a chunk of change out of there as well. So that's kind of good. Are you doing a super duper collector's edition with that version of that game that you made?
You mean like have the rules in there or something, like a print and play?
Like the game that you created.
Oh, no.
I think
no. Oops. Sorry.
I think you should do.
My headphones fell out. Sorry about that.
You shocked him so much that he's like, "That's it. I'm done. Interview's over." Mentioned that game too many times. It's under my couch for a reason.
But
leave me alone.
What I was initially thinking about doing was having like a add-on, like a unique add-on just for that game.
Yeah.
And like put it at some like ridiculous price, like $50,000. No, not that much. But I don't know if we're going to do that, because we just kind of like want to have it focused on the movie itself instead of like all this extra stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to,
Yeah.
I think you have to, yeah. I still think you should do it. I think that'd be excellent just to see, and here's my game that you can have.
I don't know if anybody would want it though. Like it's...
But people might.
Maybe.
There might be somebody out there that might take it. And then the next thing you know, be said, did you hear about Star Solar System 3?
Yeah.
What, the game that Eric got? Yeah. It just did 1.2 million on Kickstarter.
Hey, it's a possibility. I'm telling you, that theme is really, really cool.
You don't believe it. People like totally screaming at Kickstarter. It's just like going, oh, wow. And do you know who will have bought it? It'll be that guy that broke the game in the first place. He's sitting there smiling. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So the campaign starts on the 5th of February. Is it a 21-day or a 30-day? Are you running it for longer than that? Have you got like an idea?
Yeah, we're going to do 30 days.
Sounds like a reasonable time.
Yeah. Well, my favorite number is 3, so I just do like 3 for everything.
Well, my favorite number's 4, and I was 44 this year, so that's why my Kickstarter campaign went for 44 days.
Oh, really? See,
there was no other reason.
Yeah,
I looked at it, I went, "Oh, it's my birthday, and that's the number of days," and everyone was like, "When's this finishing? Because it's lasting forever and it's rubbish." And I was like, "I don't care."
Did you have any reward tiers that were like the number 4 or anything like that?
No.
Or 44 or anything?
No, I was no. Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was. You could come on and have a chat on the show talk about anything at all, which I'm terrified about because I've not seen the topics that people want to talk about. So it's all fun and games. So it should be fun, but we shall see. It's going to make 2019 very, very interesting indeed. But it sounds like your 2019 is going to be very, very interesting indeeder. If people who have listened along tonight, or this morning, or yesterday, want to keep an eye on things on the internet webs, where do we find you on the internet webs, Eric?
Well, the best place would probably be Zoom Out Media on Facebook. Just browse for that, and then you'll find the page. I also have a website, www.thegamedesignersmovie.com.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we'll put all of those links in the show notes so that we've got notes to show. Thank you very, very much for coming on.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really fun.
If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, then go to the internet webs, search for We're Not Wizards. You will find us on our website, which is we'renotwizards.com. You'll find us on our blog, which is we'renotwizards.blogspot.com. You'll find us on Twitter. Guess what? It's We're Not Wizards. You can email us, which is magic@we'renotwizards.com. Yes, I am aware of the irony of the website email address, so that's why I picked it. You can find us on all the podcast catchers, which is your Stitchers and Spreakers and Acasts and Spotify, and we're on Google Podcasts as well. For no idea, Google finally woke up and realised that we actually existed. If you like what you've listened to, and well, there's a couple of things you can do to help us. You can tell somebody else. If you listened along tonight and you thought this was interesting, then go and tell somebody else, and let them listen too. Or you can jump on to Apple Podcasts and you can drop us a subscription. And if you really like what you've listened to tonight, then drop us a rating or a review. And as we say, if you drop us a rating or review, don't give us 10 stars, because it makes us big-headed. But don't give us 1 star, because it makes us cry. I'm getting older. I'm just really an ugly crier. But give us something in the middle, like a 5, because it's average. We're just a little bit average. But the person who's not been average is rather wonderful, rather fantastic, Mr. Eric Rayl. So thank you again for coming on, sir.
Awesome. Thank you.
And there's only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Eric?
No, you're not wizards.
There you go. Fantastic. And the other thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from Eric. Say goodbye, Eric.
Bye-bye.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe. Roll6s.com, and you play their games, so maybe if you want to find out a little bit of what happens behind the game designer curtain, then maybe you should be checking out the Games Designer Movie. As I say, we will be putting all of the links in the show notes, but until the next time, goodbye. Cut.
Wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.